155. Oh, Torah study. Sorry. We're going to just sit down. We have Torah study now. Totally forgot. We're going to do, Maayan has prepared a teaching. We'll see if we have time for Musaf or not. If we don't, it's actually okay. Go ahead, Maayan. So sorry.
I think a few people might have to share because we've So, it is a wonderful Shabbat to be doing three Sifrei Torah. But actually, one of the main reasons is we have this holiday of Passover coming up very soon, Pesach. And we're having a wonderful Seder on the 15th. I hope everybody can make it. I thought today would be a great opportunity for us to take a look at some of the passages in the Haggadah that we would not normally always go through if you're trying to have a Seder that is quick and orderly. So, we have 4 passages on the handout that I gave. And before we even read them, I thought a nice thing to do is to ask this question. How long do you think, if it were up to you, and there's no wrong answer, how long should a Seder be? How long should it be? Yeah.
Including meal?
Yeah. Eating is important.
Yeah.
3 hours. We got 3 hours. Going once, going twice. Oh.
Until somebody starts getting fed.
Oh, I like that answer too. Let's take one more. I like the number 3. Let's get 3 opinions. Yeah. I love all of those answers. The next, what we're about to read, which is text number 1 on the handout, might be people who disagree with us. So let's read number 1 together in the English. 1, 2, and I don't have mine because I gave it out to you. So you're going to have to be loud. 1, 2, 3.
Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Karfan were climbing in Bnei Brak and were telling the story of the Exodus from Egypt all night until they said to them, the time of reciting the
Awesome. So these 5 rabbis, how long was their Seder?
long enough to have a
So we're going to get to that. So glad you know this one. But actually, the answer we're getting to is not in the texts. It's not. So question number 1, for those of you who don't know this one, if these 5 rabbis are having a Seder, how long was it? It's in the text. All night. And these 5 rabbis are very learned people. And actually, regardless of what it says over here with Josh and Esther, who might know where we're headed, the answer that they're thinking of is not mentioned by any of the traditional rabbis. That came out through later scholarship. So then what the commentators do say is, why were these 5 learned rabbis having a Seder that lasts all night, discussing the Exodus story that they were all experts on? Why did they bother? And the answer might be that they say, because no matter how smart you are, if you do it in a group, there is always something more to be learned. But another question, if their students were there to ask about the Shema, why were these students not part of the Seder? And where were their families? Because some of these rabbis were on the record saying that you should have the Seder with your family. Are these just elitist rabbis trying to shut everybody out? Yes. But let's tease it out slowly. Well, this took place, according to scholars, during the time of the Bar Kokhba rebellion. And when they said to them, it's time for the Shema, what they really might have been saying is, rabbis, someone's at our door. Who was around? Who was ruling the land at the time of this rebellion? Yeah, the Romans. And the Romans might not have been so happy to have these people practicing a Seder, but it might actually have been worse than that. Have been going on behind closed doors, the Romans wouldn't be so thrilled about. You can tell us. Legend has it they were plotting the revolt. And just like the story of Hanukkah, which probably was inspired by this actually, when they say the dreidels, that was not in the story of Hanukkah. They take out the dreidels to show that they're not actually studying Torah. The students say the Romans are here, hide all your battle plans. What do when the Romans enter? They pretend to say the Shema. And that's how they know there's time. But the truth is, Passover is about freedom, but we're always fighting for freedom. Even if Passover, the Exodus story is over, there's always a new fight for freedom. In America, all across the world, right now it seems to be in Ukraine. So let's read the second passage all together. 1, 2, 3.
Go out and learn what Laban the Aramean sought to do to Jacob, our father. Pharaoh only decreed Laban sought to uproot as it is stable. Deuteronomy 22. Aramean was destroyed, father, and he went down. Right there was great, powerful, and numerous.
So this passage about the Aramean is often translated differently by different rabbis, but we're going to take the translation that we have here because this interpretation is based on this translation. So, based on this interpretation, just to refresh our memories before we get into the meat here, who is Laban and why is he so hated? Laban is in Genesis, and who remembers who he is? Yeah, Laban is Jacob's father-in-law. So yes, Rivka's brother, the father of Rachel and Leah. And what did he do that made him so hated? Well, yeah.
Like substitute?
What was that?
Oh, the substitution, wedding night of Leah.
Yeah. Now,
But what is this? Uprooting the whole.
oh, we're going to get, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. So he did a few things. I think most famous, of course, for swapping out Rachel for Leah. But there was more to it than that. He also defrauded Jacob. And he even tried to prevent Jacob from leaving. Like Pharaoh, Laban tried to run down and chase after Yaakov and his wives and his children and stop them. But unlike Pharaoh, it didn't happen because God sent a dream to Laban saying, please do not hurt Yaakov. Please be nice. And they ended up making nice. And although Laban is not Pharaoh, we do know that God has a habit of visiting pharaohs in their dreams. Not with the Pharaoh of the Exodus story, but the one from the Joseph story. The truth is, if you look at the text carefully in the Torah, Laban was not perfect, but he's definitely not a Pharaoh that we think of in Passover. So now I'm going to ask what Jerry asked. If this is Laban, why are we comparing him to Pharaoh? Rabbi, you want to? Well, to be honest, looking at the text, the rabbis seem to have this bias against Laban that modern scholars do not always 100% understand. But I think it would be interesting to say that by swapping out Rachel for Leah, we got to use what the text says here about Pharaoh. Pharaoh only wanted to uproot the males, they said. Well, by swapping out Rachel for Leah, Laban was actually trying to do something very upsetting because he knew that Jacob was going to be the father of this new people, Israel, the Israelites. And by dictating who he married, he was really dictating all of Jacob's descendants. He's pretty much when they try today to get you to take genealogy tests and scan your embryos as well for possible conditions that might be passed on to your children. Some parents say, I want to know. I want to be able to choose what children I have. Other parents say, I don't want to do that. I have what I have. These are my offspring. I will love them unconditionally. And if they have certain conditions, that's okay. Well, Laban wanted to dictate who our children were going to be. And it ended up being that we did get to marry Rachel. He did. Jacob did. He also got Leah. And the Jewish people actually became larger and stronger because of it. But just like Pharaoh, Laban tried to dictate who we married because Pharaoh wanted to kill the Jewish boys and he wanted the girls to marry Egyptians and convert. So it says the Pharaoh was worse than Laban, actually. Sorry, that Laban was worse than Pharaoh. If Dayenu means we have had enough, or we have enough, depending on how you choose to inflect it, it could be saying for Laban, yeah, Pharaoh was bad, but we had worse. We had Laban. We are grateful that no matter what terrible thing we have in this day and age, there could always be worse. It's a flip of Dayenu. And I don't think we have a ton of time for the texts 3 and 4, but let's read number 3 quickly. One, two, three.
Then heard our voice, and God heard their groan. God remembered the covenant.
God heard our voice. We were suffering, the slaves, and God helped us through Moses and Aaron. We were suffering as slaves for a long time. Why does it say God heard our voice now and not before? Well, of course, God heard our voice. Why was there no action until now? And I know that we're running low on time, so rather than ask, I'm going to answer my own question. If you look at the verse that this cites in Exodus, it's important to note the verse that came before it, which isn't in there, but said that the old Pharaoh had died. The Pharaoh that Moses was running away from had died. Now there's a new Pharaoh. God said to Moses, the ones who have pursued you are dead. Go back to Egypt with your brother Aaron and free the slaves. I'm going to help you. So while it is true that God is God, this Torah portion, this Exodus book, is also telling us a story that can be related to modern times as well for narrative purposes. When there is a change in leadership, the moment is ripe for revolution, for change. Do you want to make a difference in this world? You can do it every single day. But you also should be aware that some moments are very special. And you should know, in the words of Les Mis, the time is here, from the ABC Cafe. There is so much, because Lamarck was dead, you know? That was the sign. There is so much in the Haggadah to explore. And the Seder can go all night long, like these 5 rabbis, if you want it to. You probably don't want it to go that long. But there's so much to explore, so I want us to take advantage of the opportunity to explore Passover by going to our Seder on the 15th. But even if you can't make it, we're offering 3 Passover classes online, on Zoom. We would love for you to come to those. And even if you can't, we hope that you will enjoy your Passover coming up as best you can in your own way. So thank you.